Howdy ho, and welcome back to the Channel Audio Group's official podcast, probably the largest, fastest growing audio podcast in the United States, probably. Now, today's kind of a cool one for you, a little less audio and a little bit more planning. We're going to be talking about event planning and where you should start. So, are you planning an event and kind of really don't even know where to start? Well, hey, I can help you. Perhaps your manager has assigned you to organize a company event. Or maybe you're just going willy-nilly and trying to plan a party for a friend or family member. Either way, there are a few basics for planning an event that you will need to know. The most important thing is to just stay calm and realize that when it comes to event planning, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Your event will be unique, so you need to take into account several different factors that will make it and every event you may plan different. So let's kind of just dive on into that type of event. The fundamental first step for any kind of event planning is to determine the type of event it is. If you're planning a business event, is it an internal function or for the employees? Is it a team building event, a training session, a party, or just an award ceremony? If it is an external event, do you need to organize a system to register people? Is it a conference, an informal networking event, or a social event? Jeez, a lot of options. But once you know what sort of event you're organizing, it's pretty much smooth sailing for there. For internal business events involving the employees, you'll probably have a good idea of what they should be interested in. Plus, if you can speak to them firsthand, this always helps clarify your ideas. Is it going to be a casual event or something more formal? After you have an understanding of who the attendees will be, you can make decisions regarding important aspects such as the venue, the food, and any entertainment. Now, we kind of got to figure out what the heck is the purpose of the event. You must identify the objective of the event before you even begin planning. Every event has a purpose. So recognize why the event is even happening and what you would like it to achieve. Are you trying to build visibility for a company? Are you throwing a party to bring in new clients? Or are you just launching a brand new product? The more you understand and nail down the reason for your event, the clearer it will be to tailor it specifically to meet your objectives. Knowing the event's purpose will keep your plan focused and form the framework for planning, promoting, and executing the event perfectly. No room for failure. Yes. So the next thing you're going to want to do after you get the purpose, obviously, is you're going to want to do a theme. It's always fun to have a theme. So this is going to be something that the attendees will be attracted to, and they're like, yeah, now I want to go. The event's theme will impact your decisions regarding decorations, food, and entertainment. This is why it is crucial to establish the theme early in planning phase. If you go through all of the planning stages of a party without a theme in mind, you'll end up with a hodgepodge of decorations, ideas, and styles running all around the room. Additionally, the event's theme will act as the differentiator among all other events. It will be used to get the message out and promote the event, so make sure you get it right to create the maximum impact. Just hit my mic. That's how excited I was about the impact your event's going to have. Now, the event size and duration is kind of going to be something you want to think about. Anticipated audience size, that's going to basically determine your cost, so you'll need to determine how to achieve the event's goals without breaking the bank, son. So the type of event usually influences the duration. For example, a conference could be 1 or 2 days, whereas a brand promotion or a networking event may only last for a few hours. For longer timescales, you will first need to establish the level of interest and if that will sustain a multiple day event. So that's going to kind of skirt us over to this little other thing called a budget. The budget needs to be established as early as possible in the event planning process because your budget will dictate what type of event you can even plan. There's simply no point in planning this big ol' event if the funds aren't even there to make it happen. Make sure you discuss the budget with everyone involved and make sure a concrete budget is agreed upon, but on paper, but it's a solid, not on concrete, but it's on paper, but it's a concrete plan. Okay. Some of the significant expenses that you might want to just think about is the venue. This total should consist of the venue rental expense and any additional items like insurance or security. Next, you're going to want to think about food and drink. Obviously, you're going to want to think about the entertainment costs as well. This will depend on the event, but remember to include any additional costs like accommodations and travel that are needed for your entertainers attending the event. You're going to have to want to think about AV production needs. This is going to encompass a variety of costs from projection equipment to PA speakers. A great AV setup can make all the difference between just a mediocre and an unforgettable event. So be sure to give some consideration to the AV needs. Finally, you're going to have some little miscellaneous things. You're going to have some unforeseen glitches, which can sometimes cost a little more moolah. So make sure you set aside a contingency fund so you can cope with anything that may arise. Now, often the costs aren't fixed during the planning stage. For example, you may not have decided on a venue or how long the event will last, but keep in mind that you should look at the most expensive options and budget for the maximum you could perform. Then you can set a clear budget and keep costs in check. So, keeping track of the budget is always vital to avoid costs creeping upwards. Make sure you have a good record-keeping system so that the team can keep track of everything they spend, and you can keep a good overview of the budget. Keeping the budget at the front of your mind is important whenever planning an event. So this is going to lead us to the event's venue. The venue is probably the most crucial decision you're ever going to make in your life. The venue choice can make a humongo difference when it comes to registration. Only after you have space chosen can you set the event's dates based on the venue's availability. Remember, the best venue always book up quickly. Even venues used for weddings and social events often have a year's waiting list, so be sure to keep this in mind. If you can hold your event outside of peak times, you are most likely to get the dates you want and possibly save you some money on the budget. Weeknights, Friday nights, and Sunday afternoons often have the most availability and savings. Now, cost is not the only thing to bear in mind. Your venue has to meet all your other requirements, including the look and the feel of the event. If you are holding a large event that will go on for several days, then hotels with conference centers are usually the best option. However, smaller single-day events can fit in well with less traditional spaces. If you can find a unique, fun venue that checks all the boxes, your event is much more likely to be successful. Some of the key things to assess when considering a venue include the following. Size. Come on, size matters, and we all know. The number of attendees has a direct impact on the amount of square footage needed. If you have breakout sessions planned, you will need to account for the additional space required to accommodate this. Transportation and parking. If people need to drive to the event, will there be adequate parking available? Probably not in Nashville. If people are using public transportation, can they get to the venue easily? Is it accessible? The venue must be equipped in such a way that everyone feels comfortable and can use it. Look for accessibility in entrances, elevators, and restrooms. Will there be space for interpreters if needed? Insurance coverage. Check what the liability rules of the venue are. You may need to purchase just a little more insurance. Audio and visual. Always consider the event's tech needs before booking a venue. Will you need a PA speaker, some microphones, projectors, or screens? Does the venue have AV equipment installed? How much of their in-house AV services versus just an independent AV proprietor? Do they even have Wi-Fi? Now, cost is going to be the last little thing you're going to want to look at, and obviously this is always going to be a factor. Find out the overall total cost, the deposit, any additional expenses that may occur, and how much you would get back if you need to cancel. So, in conclusion, it's going to be basically impossible to cover everything involved in event planning in just one short little podcast. I know you'd want it to be longer, but hotel accommodations, sponsors, staffing, and the qua haven't been covered, but they too will need your careful consideration. With event planning, you must be organized, so don't be afraid to create a list of tasks, whom they are assigned to, and the completion dates. As the event planner, this leaves you free to focus on bringing it all together in one amazing event that gives everyone a great experience. Now, I hope this little podcast that I just whipped out for you is going to be helpful in your event planning future. I know you're going to kill it, and Channel Audio Group is always here to back you up if need be. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.